Hey, and welcome to the podcast where smart home pros learn how to grow faster, smarter, and with less guesswork. I'm Lane McDowell here with Sean Cornwell.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So we'll start off by just asking a simple question. What if I told you there's a way to get more repeat business, more projects, more referrals, and stay top of mind with your best clients without spending a dime on ads and learning or have to learn any new tech or anything like that?
Yeah, today we're breaking down one of the simplest, most overlooked marketing tools that honestly every integrator should be using, and that's email. We're going to break down the why you should use it and the how to use it effectively. So I want to break down some of the key 5 points of why you should be using email today in 2025. So the first one is probably the most important, but it's email is still the number one channel for direct communication. And just kind of back that up, HubSpot did a survey um, back, I think it was last year maybe, and they said 70% of marketers have seen an increase in email engagement over the past 12 months. So email remains still the preferred communication for anything business related in 2025. And that's even like especially compared to, social media, even text messaging, phone calls, emails like still number one, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I even to this day will ask someone to shoot me an email when they're wanting to put something in my inbox or just remind me something. I look over texts. I think my text notifications are pretty high, but I tend to want to make sure that my email notifications are at least cleared and go through what's
Yeah,
going on in a day. So
yeah, and you probably check your email more than one time a day, right? That brings me to the next point is people check their email more consistently than anything else, than even things like social media. Harvard Business Review actually did a study on this, and they showed that the average person checks their email 15 times a day, and that's roughly once every 37 minutes.
I think 15
So
times a day is pretty low for most of us. But
yeah, and that's kind of an average overall, right? Like there's
right.
going to be some people kind of on the lower spectrum, and then probably people like you and me, we're checking the email all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of like, s- by comparison, people often scroll social media passively and kind of miss those business relevant posts. And really that's, due to algorithms. And that kind of brings me to my next point here is that with email, you own your email list, right? You're not at the mercy of a social media algorithm or like Google's algorithm, right? It's your email list, you control it, and platforms like Instagram or Facebook may only show your content to like 5 to 10% of the followers that you already have, right? Unless you're paying to boost that traffic. So with email, every message you send lands directly in their inbox. There's no gatekeepers, there's no algorithm to worry about. Is there
I
anything you
mean,
wanted to add to that, Sean?
yeah. So what's when you're doing social media ads or even Google ads, like you're fighting two battles on the same two different fronts, right? So not only are you fighting the algorithm, right, trying to feed it correctly so that you get the most reach, trying to find the right hashtags on social media, the right topics that might go, what we deem viral or just influential. But you also are fighting the psychological war with people too. Are you actually going to tickle the brain just right to click through?
Yeah,
Um,
and that could be very difficult, right?
Very difficult and very expensive. You'll spend
Mhm.
thousands of dollars just trying to get that right formula. Where email, it's almost free, and relatively speaking, it is free. And you can test as much as you want. You can do A/B tests and all kinds of fun stuff with it. So
Yeah, that's a perfect segue to the next point is that it's a low cost, high ROI way to stay in touch. There was another study here done by Litmus in 2023, and they say email marketing generates on average $36 for every $1 spent, and that is by far the highest ROI of any marketing channel in today's world.
yeah, it's a 36% or X return. But
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's fantastic.
it is fantastic. And what's cool about this like little stat that you kind of provided, like Litmus is the go-to website most people go to when they're trying to find out what their deliverability issues are, or they're trying to warm up a new email and stuff like that. They are the pioneers in that world, so they would have that information. Um,
So they
and
know what
another
they're talking about, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we've seen this with some of our other clients, even some of our like, I think we have one client that's not in the industry. It's one of our earlier clients when we first started, but they've been able to increase their business about 10 to 15% year to year just through email alone. So, I mean, that's a
Wow.
huge
Yeah,
growth.
absolutely. Yep. And this brings me to my last point of why you should use email. So you don't even have to do it that much, right? To stay top of mind with prospects, past clients, all that good stuff. You could do like even, if you're just getting into it, just want to start with something easy, even like one email per quarter helps keep your brand top of mind. So there's not a lot of legwork involved with email, and you could certainly take it a lot further than that, right? But it's not required. And one email a day is not required, right? You can do very little and still see some success.
You know, just to kind of speak to that, and how powerful email can actually be. We all get emails from some of our favorite stores we like to shop at, or just like random little like community type notifications and stuff like that. We get some of those. My wife and I at least do. But a lot of times I might get an email from like Amazon, or I like to golf, so I might get something from Dick's or the PGA Pro Store. And I might not be thinking about getting a new club or this new outdoor kitchen device or gadget or whatever, or even, hey, I'm not really thinking about going to the farmers market on the weekend because I didn't really know about it. And an email might pop up and it could change the entire plan I have, or the entire thought process, and get me really engaged, start researching certain products or items that I might have found some interest in. But an email, I mean, Amazon probably hits me up once a week. Dick's hits me up once a month, and I'll scan through Dick's website for about a half an hour just trying to see if there's anything that really piques my interest after seeing this one little sale, email that I got from Dick's. There's some
Absolutely. Yep.
there's some
Absolutely.
real power in email.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all just about, staying visible, staying top of mind. So when that need does arise, you're there, right? You're the first person that they think of.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
we've covered the whys of email. So let's talk about how to do it effectively. What should you be doing? What is the step-by-step process in order to do it correctly? And the first one is kind of a no-brainer, right? You need to have a list of people to email.
Oh, yeah.
So that could be anything like, past clients, future prospects, maybe even past leads that fell through the cracks in some way, and you just haven't touched base with them in a while.
Mhm.
And a really good one is trade partners, right? So those interior designers, architects, custom home builders. It's really great to be able to stay on top of mind for those people, right? Stay on their radar, stay in front of them, stay visible. And you don't need to start with a really big list to get started, or even just like 30 to 50 contacts is a great place to start. And sorry, did you
Yeah.
want to add something to that, Sean? I heard you.
Yeah, yeah, you're good. So I was gonna say, like, you kind of put the words in my mouth that you don't really need a large list. 30 to 50 people is pretty good. The average, the industry average that I would say for a conversion in emails is 10%, right? So if you've got a strong message, a good like offer within that email, and you send it out to 30 people, you would probably have 3 positive reactions to that. Doesn't mean you're gonna have a buyer right off the bat. We like to talk about the magic number the marketing magic number 7. It usually takes about 7 touches to get someone to convert into a buyer. But you might have someone click through. You might have someone learn more about your company, and keep opening emails in the future until they are ready to kind of pull a trigger or get a consultation or whatever the case may be. So,
Absolutely. That's a great
yeah.
point. Yep, great point. So now you've got your list, right? So what should you actually send these people? Well, this is kind of what we like to do, what we like to propose to integrators is you should always be leading with value. And no matter what you're doing, if it's, whether it be social media or your website or anything else, whatever you market, you should always be leading with valuable information, right? Something that adds some sort of value to their lives. So that could be, in the form of like new ideas, right? So you could send them emails about a cool recent project you did, maybe some tips or some upcoming trends that are happening in home tech. And then every once in a while, sprinkle in, new services or some of your services in that email cadence. Because what you don't want to do is just hit the ground running with trying to sell to these people, because that's just going to turn people off, right? There's kind of a famous quote we like to say here, right? Is people don't like to be sold to, right? They like to buy. Isn't that right,
Right.
Sean?
That I would agree with that. And one of the most I know I keep having these little random like
No, yeah,
uh
they're great bits of
examples,
wisdom.
but one of my favorite emails I get is from a company called Divi or Elegant Themes. So they're a framework we like to use when we're building websites, and I'm sure some of you guys out there have a website built on Divi. It's one of the most common themes used to build websites, but um, they're not always looking to sell their stuff. I get probably an email a week from them, and 3 out of the 4 emails in the month I'll get are tips and tricks on how to do certain things within the building of the site or their framework, which is super awesome. I always learn something new. I always try to implement it when I find something super interesting that I think that could help out our clients and stuff like that. Um, but those are the things that make me love Elegant Themes versus, Elementor out there where all they want to do is try to sell you on their premium or their pro version of their framework. And I kind of put them on my junk list or block them. And I just keep reading the Elegant Theme stuff.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Actually an email that you're kind of looking forward to getting or opening and reading, right? That can make a world of difference in an email campaign, can it?
And to kind of put that into practice for a home integrator, if a lot of your current clients are using Control 4, it's a simple thing just to kind of put together some how-tos, like how to troubleshoot these easy issues so you don't have to wait till Monday to get this resolved by me kind of thing. Or how to um, automate some scenes that are additional to what that you might have already set up for them. Like little small things that wouldn't be a huge return for you if you had to show up to do it, but you're giving value to your clients and teaching them how to actually mess around with a system that they spent tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars getting installed in their house.
Absolutely. Yep. Those little things, they're so small, but they can make such a big difference, can't they?
Oh, absolutely.
So the last couple of things here, this is one of the more important ones for a lot of people, I think, and it's It's to stay consistent, right? You can't just do like a one and done email or a couple emails and, throw your hands up in the air and say, this doesn't work, right? You have to stay consistent. And it can take a little time, but for the amount of effort you're putting in and how much resources it requires, it's definitely worth it, right? It almost costs you nothing, just a little bit of time to sit down and with the help of like AI today, right? Like ChatGPT and all these other tools, it can make your job so much simpler. You can bust out like a really good email in like what 15 minutes nowadays, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So in the last point is you don't want to forget about adding a call to action to every email. And it doesn't always have to be like book a consultant, but it definitely could be. But it could be something like, see our latest project on our website, or like refer a friend, or that classic one, book a consultation. Those could always be different things, but you always want to lead them somewhere, right? So whether it's to your website or to a consultation or to a referral, right? You always want to be leading them somewhere. So don't forget that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So call to actions have to be the most important thing on well, any marketing strategy that you're actually putting in place, right? Whether it's ads or emails or even on your website, you're looking to gauge the I guess the activity of your marketing list, right? So for the instance of the email, what's beautiful about emails, you have a lot of analytics built into systems, whether you're using constant contact, you got a CRM like high level, you can see the click through rate. So if you're sending out an email and you got a good call to action, you should see people clicking through on that action, and that should give you you will have your open rate, your click through rate, and you can kind of fine tune. Okay, so my email is actually landing correctly, and I have a 60% open rate and a maybe like a 7 to 10% click through rate. That's actually pretty standard. If you have a really good email and a really good call to action that get people interested, you might see yourself having, a 10 to 20% click through rate. But those are ideal because what happens is, and what we tend to do when we start seeing people click through, we create a new segment list of our list that we'll have. And those are people we know that are interested in some form of fashion about our services or about our client services, and we'll start emailing them stuff a little bit more in depth, right? So it's a little bit more of a advanced trick, I guess you could say, and not something you should worry about now, but it gives you that idea of like what you can do and how you can build out a more what's the word I'm looking for? Complex email system.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, Sean. Thanks for that insight. So we've covered the why you should use email, and then we've covered the how to do it. Sean, will you talk a little bit about some of the quick wins that people can start doing today or even this week to get this process rolling?
Yeah, so I gotta actually have a list of like three things here. So one, if you have some kind of like POS system that you're taking payments on, you can easily export that client list and start utilizing that in your CRM or constant contact, or even like importing that as a list for Gmail, right? Super quick to start putting together some emails and have a small, it's not maybe a large list that you have. Two, just draft a simple hello. What's like, here's what's new email, right? Maybe you are getting into Josh.ai, or maybe there's a new Josh.ai update that you want to talk about, right?
Ooh, that's a great point. Great idea.
And you're wanting to educate your current or past clients about that kind of solution that they might find interesting, right? Um, and then honestly, just schedule a follow up email 30 days later, right? So that right there is super simple. Exporting a list from your POS system takes 5 minutes. Creating a hello, here's what's new email takes a couple minutes. And then a follow up email, maybe another 5 minutes. So in 7 minutes, you can get something done that actually provides some value for your business, maybe some potential growth in the next 30 days.
Yeah, yep. And don't forget to pull some of those people from your proposal system too. Those
Yeah, that's
guys
true.
that, maybe you close some of those deals, but I'm certain that there's some deals out there in your system that never got closed that need to be followed up with. You need to stay in front of them because those people might come back to you and change their mind. Maybe they have a different project they'd like you to work with them on. So it sounds like, you don't need to have like a perfect funnel, right, to get this started. You just need to show up and remind people that you're awesome at what you do. And
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
mean,
takes us. Oh, go ahead.
no, you're good. I was gonna just kind of speak to that. The whole like, if you build it, they will come. It's not always true, but it's true to a certain extent. So the favorite phrase I have that you say is by perfection is the enemy of progression. Is that what you say?
Yeah, that's basically the same thing. Yeah, but perfection is the enemy of productivity.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing we have to always kind of keep top of mind as we're building our marketing systems out, or going through our marketing journey, if you're not pulling the trigger, you're doing nothing and you're sinking. We have to keep moving to keep on top of the water, right? So
Absolutely.
just get it going, and you use the analytics that you get to make educated or intelligent decisions on how to change things, right? So yeah, not too big of a deal.
Yeah, just to kind of recap and kind of wrap this episode up. Um, Things we covered is email marketing. It's the lowest hanging fruit most integrators ignore, and it's not that difficult to get started. You can get started with your existing clients, past clients, like we said, people that you have in your proposal system, uh, and the people that already trust you. The people you've worked with before already have your trust, so that's a good place to start. And like Sean was just saying, just keep it simple, but stay consistent. This doesn't have to be perfect. And like with any system, you can improve it over time, right? So our suggested action for you today or this week is to write one email to your past clients. Share something new you're offering, or just check in to see if they need anything. And
Yeah,
if you need help getting your first email campaign off the ground, head over to seawellmarketing.com. We'd be happy to help. Thanks for
absolutely.
tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.
See you, everybody.